I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and no, this is not a repeat from this morning. This is actually a second keynote watch party here at AI World. I'm still trying to make sure I get it right with the AI World thing.
I'm still trying to make it right to get it Keynote watch party.
I'm still trying to make sure we're at the right time for the keynote watch party.
Yeah, unreal.
It is what it is. But yes, folks, we are here. We were expecting to be here about an hour ago, and then we got notified that the keynote from Larry Ellison delayed an hour. So we're back. We're here, and we are not alone because guess who's back with us? It's my favorite. It's my favorite TV show. It's Brohammer and the Cowboy.
Howdy.
Coming soon to a cable access network near you.
Wow.
Hey, do they still have like public
Have you heard of Astounding ERP?
Oh, God, Astounding ERP. Do they even still have public access TV? I mean, I don't know. I
wonder, do they?
I aspire to closed circuit TV myself. I'm aiming the bar ever higher.
You're gonna do
you what? You're gonna break. He's gonna break into a house.
Hey, have you guys ever heard of the echo? You guys ever heard of the echo chamber? I think Brian is actually in the echo chamber. What is going on there? You're like, are you in like enforced isolation there?
Well, let's double check the audio again.
Brian's starting the new pandemic.
Well, while you're doing that, so we're in countdown mode. We hope. So far, it's still holding up at 2:30. So before we watch whatever is going to happen here, hope we're going to see it. First thoughts on the first keynote and everything you've seen so far over the last day and a half. Whoever wants to jump in and do it.
You guys.
Well, look, we had the privilege of almost a full day of briefings and such the day before, which kind of gave us a sense of what we're going to hit. I thought the keynote earlier today was definitely fleshing out for attendees what's the art of the possible, if you will. So that was cool. But like I said before, the big thing then becomes, how do you get there? What does it take? That's not what Larry's going to do today. I don't know what Larry's going to do today at all. I have no idea. But he's not going to do that. That's not his job. That's for tomorrow, whatever, on your own time. But here at Oracle Keynote World, we do have to do another keynote. So we're going to do Larry now. And I don't know, man, Larry's keynotes are all over the place. But the one thing I will say is he's one of a handful of much-watched keynotes remaining in enterprise software, precisely because even his handlers don't know exactly what he's going to do. And that makes it interesting. So who knows?
I assume you mean including show up on time.
Well, right. I mean, we've had a couple undisclosed delays, so, we've all been speculating on what that means. But the bottom line is you never know. I mean, my favorite Larry Ellison keynote of the last 5 years was when he just went off on healthcare for an hour and talked to us like we were in his living room.
Yep.
I thought that set the bar incredibly high. But in general, there's only a handful of founders that do those kind of unpredictable keynotes that have you just knowing that if their handlers are nervous about the keynote, that's a good sign, right? So let's see what happens today.
Next slide.
Yep.
All right, Cowboy. Give us something that you'll see or you think you'll see, and something that you want to see.
Boy. I think we're going to see, we'll get the more unfiltered version of how Oracle sees the market. Larry will, if you will, speak to the truth, or at least as he sees it. So that's good. You get an insight into the company, its operations, the way its people think and act that you wouldn't otherwise get. Not so many other CEOs come in with such super polished, canned remarks that have been worked over by their PR firms forever. And like you were alluding to, you're going to get the unvarnished, straight up opinions coming from Larry. And that makes him not just different, it makes him entertaining, and you will have to pay attention. So I think we'll all probably have to dial back our commentary and do more listening on this one than maybe we did this morning.
What do you want to see him do?
He was phenomenal years back in trashing the competition. And I know you guys may not like that, but I always enjoyed listening to the jokes, the digs, the put downs, and whatever, he's got he knows how to really knock them out. But anyway.
Hey, Brian, can I add to that? The interesting thing is not just that, but who he chooses to bash is super important, because it shows you where they're headed next. So it's important to pay attention to who he's trying to knock off this year. Is very interesting to make a note of.
If he does. I mean, he's mercurial on that. If you remember, he ripped the crap out of, I think it was Microsoft about, 7, 8 years ago. And then 3 years later, he was talking about how wonderful Microsoft was, right? Literally, like 180 straight out. I mean, it wasn't even 150. It was 180, right? And I know what I want to see is Larry from 2 years ago, which is the one you were referring to, John. And what I expect we'll see is what we saw last year, right? I don't want to. He is mercurial in turn. You say kind of unexpected. I say a little bit mercurial. I think he's a little more in the moment than kind of like, okay, I think I'll say this now. But I don't really. I remember once he did 2 keynotes in one Oracle. I think it was still Open World then. And the first one, he got really into the weeds, and then he said, "Yeah, so when we get to the technical one, I'm literally going to go deeper, and I'm going to get a little more technical." And I said, "How's that?" I literally would tweet it at the time. It was still Twitter. How's that even possible? He's going to literally speak in ones and zeros. I mean, it was no further to go. He was so in the weeds.
Yeah, his history. He starts the company as a relational database, concept, and he knows that stuff intimately well because he built a lot of it for some of the very first customers in the DoD. He is first and foremost a database low stack guy.
Yep.
The applications, I think, were always a bit more, I would say, of less interest to him, but definitely interesting for how they could help propel the business and its fortunes going forward. So, yeah, you're right. And John, some of those, I absolutely agree with you about who he's targeting, because there have been years where he's really gone after Workday. Once for a while, he went after Sun Microsystems like you wouldn't believe.
Then he bought him.
Then there was he didn't really have a whole lot of love for Google and was it Amazon? Yeah, he'd be going through all the stats and facts on the performance of Oracle's gear and everything for cloud computing compared to the other folks. So, yeah, you're right, John. You're absolutely right. We got to pay attention to who he picks on if he goes after anyone this year.
And last year, he actually had the president of AWS join him. And I forget the other guy that was a part of that conversation. But that was kind of fascinating to see, going from ripping them from one year to them being on stage with them, having a really interesting conversation. I'm sure, I'm thinking we're probably going to get some kind of surprise guest. I don't know who it's going to be.
AMD.
Could be. Probably could be. It would make sense to have somebody either from AMD or NVIDIA be a part of this kind of conversation. So I would. Yeah,
I saw the announcement went public. At least I got a notification that it did about AMD and the AI chips. So
maybe Lisa Hugh will be there. I don't know. But I think I want a mix of 2 years ago and last year, because 2 years ago, like you were saying, he kind of pulled up a little bar stool, kind of sat down, got comfortable, and he was just chatting with us. It wasn't like he was speaking from the mountain. He was just like chilling, hanging out, talking a little stuff.
And the stuff he talked was absolutely perfect for setting an actual stage of what Oracle meant to a world stage. And it was really, really smart.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It could be, guys, that they push this back so that it's after the close of trading in New York now. And he can make some wild announcements or things that might normally give us, a safe harbor enforcer heartburn. He can do it now.
But you know what? They knew that the stock market closes at 4 o'clock Eastern forever. So why would that be the change?
Maybe
only if he's going to announce some kind of like an M&A deal tonight.
Like
Or he's going to announce we won the America's Cup again.
Oh my God!
Oh,
let's hope that ain't it. Anyway, we're getting close. It looks like we're getting some movement there. I'll turn the sound on when we actually see something going on. But
1 minute.
So it's supposed to last an hour. We'll see. I don't know. Like I said before, I think this may be one of the more significant AI or open world or whatever world keynotes that goes on, because there's so many things that Oracle is now really foundational in, and covers all aspects of technology. So you can go a lot of different ways here. I wish they went a different way with the music. There's me.
They never take my playlist. I don't take it personal, man.
All right, so we're right at 2:30. Let's see if we're gonna get something this time around.
Although, actually, given the concert choice, I think Def Leppard "Foolin'" might be a really good choice for this open here.
That's kind of a surprise. Yeah.
Or maybe they could change "Bring It on the Heartbreak" to "Bring It on the Hardware." I mean, I know it's a little corny.
No, it's a lot.
Yeah,
don't shortchange yourself there, buddy.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man.
I have a headache.
I'll be back at 6 p.m.
He's filling in for Wayne Newton tonight, and he's getting
absolutely, man.
Shin limb.
The ERP lounge, baby.
Remember, PeopleSoft used to have lounges, like all those kind of things. They used to do that all the time. They have lounges for everything, and then they have the key was not what you learned at the conference, but which party you got invited to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Deloitte, I remember, used to run one of the signature parties, and you would go, and they would have security guards at an elevator, and they would check everything, and then you couldn't go up until you passed, like bouncers, literally. It was bizarre. Good old days.
Let's see. It's only 2:31. It's only a minute.
I remember at one conference they put all the analysts up on the front row, and they had flash pots up there. And right at the beginning of the keynote, they all flared up, and I thought a few of us weren't coming back alive after that. Between the burns and the red scalding and everything else.
PTSD.
Maybe they had trouble getting the marching band lined up to come in and, do the intro, get the blood pumping kind of deal for Larry's keynote. Maybe that's what's holding them up.
What's been like the most memorable opening to a keynote that you can call on? I think I can think of one because it's so crazy. Remember when a vendor opened up with some kind of Shackleton revival? I don't know what you call it, but it was like a Broadway play of Shackleton's.
It was actually a scene from the actual Broadway play with some of the actors and a couple of musicians and the CEO of the company doing a small part. And that was due to a lunatic CMO.
I was at one where the CEO drove in through the back of the room in a DeLorean, And when he got up to the stage, jumped out, the gull wings open, he comes up dressed like Marty McFly's
Oh my God.
character, whatever.
Oh
They were
my
taking
God.
us back to the future and extolling the benefits of COBOL code and an on-prem world. I was really loving that.
Wow.
I can't remember a single one. I don't know if that sends a message to vendors about their openings.
That does say a lot there, Brohammer.
Or it says something about what medications you were on when all those
Could be, man.
start
Why
kicked off.
don't I get jazzed up for the pan flute orchestra?
Yeah.
There was one that had like a drum corps.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't bad.
I don't
Well,
remember
was
that.
are you thinking of the one with the Maori drummers, or are you thinking of a actual like marching band drum corps?
No, it was like a drum corps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full. I think I was there, but I don't remember who it was.
I could not remember what it was for.
And that is the power of advertising in the 21st century.
I remember there was
I
one
remember
where they
the
were.
ad, but I have no idea who did it.
I remember one of you guys was with me at a dinner one night, and the AR people were asking, "Is there something that we shouldn't do?" And I made a remark about, "Well, don't have your CEO take the controls of a drone and fly it over the audience," because I just knew that was not going to end well if that happened.
I hope they took your advice on that one.
Years ago, I was at SAP's Palo Alto labs, and they were showing me this really cool. It was actually cool. It was when drones were sort of just starting, and they had built this drone that actually tied with SAP software somehow that would go to remote, really remote, like mountainous utilities, utility lines, and do readings of the utilities. And they said, "Let us show you the drone." And I said, how it works. And I said, "Well, okay, but I don't really think so." But they said, "No, let's show you." And they literally in the labs, they're trying to fly the drone. They lost control of it, and it literally started like buzzing my head, and people were ducking all over the place. And then it crashed into a wall and fell to the ground. And I never forgot that they lost control. But the concept was way ahead of anybody else at the time. I mean, it was actually genuinely innovative. It's just had a really strange, let's say, demo.
So we're about 5 minutes past when it's supposed to start.
He's almost done cleaning up the yacht. It'll be done shortly.
I don't know. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that we just don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm being funny, but it's not. Well, that's stretching it too. I'm not being that funny. But
I know what it is. They can't load Ray Wong's slides, and they're waiting for him to come out to open for Larry. That's the deal.
Well, I'll text Ray and ask him when he's getting out.
Well, if the slides are a problem, then Brian, you're the guy they should be calling on.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
You knew about that one time he and I were
Right.
we're going.
I can put the sound. Here we go.
237.
Paul, I think it's your turn to read the FD statement.
Oh, I have. I read it. I'm right up here. Forward something. Ooh, that's cute.
I love how they keep the redwood color scheme.
Oh yeah, they're so good at that. Jenny Lamb, superstar.
Which we'll be talking to tomorrow.
Yes, we will. One of my favorite parts of Oracle is seeing her. These conferences. She's awesome.
I mean, this is very pleasing to the eye.
Yes, it is. It's a dramatic change from what they've done. I guess they're using that. Or a ring.
Please welcome via live broadcast, Chairman of the Board and Chief Technology Officer of
He's a
Oracle,
broadcast.
Larry
Well,
Ellison.
he's the only one in there.
There's, you know what?
I hear it pause though.
Hi, everybody.
It was a small group.
Let's see. Okay, says AI changes everything. That's a kind of a big statement, everything. Well, I think it's pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how Oracle's been responding to these changes that started. Well, I guess they started in earnest when ChatGPT 3.0 came out, and suddenly AI models started sounding a little bit like us. Okay, there are two big phases of this AI technology. One is the dawning of the AI era, which is a bunch of companies building these enormous AI models. They actually, they're actually an AI model right now. What's called a multimodal AI model is made up of several neural networks. Like your brain has several parts. It's actually it's kind of a perfect analogy. To do vision, you use one part of your brain. To do language, you use a different part of your brain. When you're building an AI model, you use a different neural network for vision. Seeing something, seeing its edges, seeing its shape, seeing its color, seeing it move. You use one neural network for seeing it, and quite a different neural network for recognizing what it is, identifying it. And then a third neural network to classify it and organize it and reason with that data. So very much like our brains, the modern AI system and a modern AI model is a multimodal model. It has multiple neural networks to look at different kinds of data, video data, textual data, hearing, things like that. Well, what's going on right now is a series of companies are spending vast fortunes training these AI models on publicly available data on the internet, enormous amounts of data. And this has become, this AI training, it's very apparent after a few years of it. It's the largest, fastest growing business in human history. Bigger than the railroads, bigger than the Industrial Revolution. I mean, it is a whole new world that is dawning. There's the building of the models. And then once those models are built, it's the actual using those models to solve very important problems. Early diagnosis of cancer, for example. But there'll be a lot of surgery that is more precise and more accurate than human beings can do. Robots will be much better surgeons than human beings can be, for all sorts of interesting reasons you might not guess. Anyway, the big opportunity in AI training is upon us. And Oracle is a major participant in building data centers to do AI training. But the much larger opportunity, the one that will truly change the world, isn't the creation of the models themselves, the training of the models. What will change the world is when we start using these remarkable electronic brains, and that's what they are. These are remarkable electronic brains to solve humanity's most difficult and enduring problems. Now, there's one thing that's kind of interesting, where Oracle's explicitly involved, which is, as I said earlier, these AI models are trained on publicly available data, all the data on the internet. So if you look at ChatGPT or Anthropic, Grok, Llama, what have you, they're all trained on all of the data on the internet. In other words, publicly available data. But for these models to reach their peak value, you need to not train them not just on publicly available data, but you need to make privately owned data available to those models as well. And that's where Oracle plays a particularly important role, because most of the world's high value data is already in an Oracle database. We just had to change, and it is past tense, we did change that database so that that Oracle database can take the data that's already in the Oracle database and make it available to AI models for reasoning. So the AI model can reason on not just public data, but on private data. AI is an incredible tool. Some people think it's going to replace all human beings and all of our human endeavors. I don't think that's true. It will help us solve problems we couldn't solve on our own, however. It'll make us much better scientists and engineers and teachers and chefs and bricklayers and surgeons and what have you. We've never built a tool anything like this. I pressed the button and the slide didn't move. Let's do that.
He was saying such profound things, and then he's having trouble with the slide.
Yeah, this is not an AI device. One more time, and then I'm just going to say the word slide. Ah, there we go. Okay. Well, I did both, so who knows why? Who knows why it moved? Okay.
That's kind of funny. As brilliant as he is, he always has troubles with the slides.
World. Remember when it was called Cloud World a long time ago?
Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah.
I had a presentation about
He
AI.
is so chill right now.
Cloud World. I was still allowed.
He really is.
He is so relaxed.
And I said, "Is AI the most important
that's
technology in human history?" And we're going to find out soon. Well, it's pretty clear. The smartest people I know are working. What? I didn't press the button. Okay, so not pressing the button. You back up the slide, please. Thank you. I'm just going to put that down. We're going to get a better one next time.
This is funny.
The
He just said we need to get a better one next time. It's 15 years he's been doing
investing
this.
fortunes. To be specific, they're investing their fortunes in building and training these AI models. That's how important they are. That's how extraordinary they are.
Wait, who's investing their
And
fortunes
by the
in that?
way,
He didn't specify who.
Elon,
He just
Mark,
said
Sam,
people.
Elon, Mark, and Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not doing
all
that
these
just
smart
for their
guys,
own goodwill.
extraordinary
There's
people,
a $1 trillion market at stake if they get to where they want to go. So let's not like idealize that effort all that much.
Big a deal. Maybe it's just a bubble.
It's not even just them.
Well,
Yesterday in our analyst
the internet
thing,
really
had that
the internet
partner
wasn't-
video where they're all
I mean,
talking about
most-
billion-dollar
the-
investment.
If you look at the fortunes created on the internet,
Yeah.
I mean, certainly worked out for Google. Searches seem to have paid off. And Elon on that list did start a PayPal, and that paid off nicely. But I know that I've asked him, Elon, he said he definitely didn't put a dime into pets.com. And the thing is, when people talk about bubbles, what is a bubble? I mean, people get exuberant. I mean, the internet was an incredible new technology, remains the foundation of computing, and we couldn't have AI without the internet. So it's incredibly important technology, but the people started confusing internet companies like a PayPal, or even worse, internet search, worse meaning better, with pets.com. I mean, the fact that if I can sell pet food in an e-commerce site, that suddenly means I'm an internet company. Not really. So yes, there'll be people.
Chewy's doing pretty well
on AI, because almost every tech company these days call themselves an AI company, but they're not. A lot of them are not. But AI, in terms of its value, this is the highest value technology we have ever seen by far. Next slide, please.
Bring back that drinking game.
AI. It's interesting because it's called artificial intelligence, but as opposed to artificial perception. But it does perceive. It hears, it smells. Think about smelling. I mean, the idea that you can pick up chemicals that are just drifting around in the atmosphere and figure out what those chemicals are. Dogs can smell cancer. in patients.
Wow. Yep.
We should be able to do that with AI. We should be able to, in fact, there's a project I know of called The Dog's Nose that I'm actually a part of. And we're building sensors. We're building sensors that can smell cancer or other illnesses. But the AI perceives. It's got the part of the brain that hears and sees, in addition to reasoning. I mean, it can read street signs. It can read a page on a book. It take a look at you and recognize you. You can identify the song that's playing. You can talk to AI and ask it a question or type it out. And AI can reason logically, very quickly, using language the same way we do, and mathematics. And I remember I was over at Tesla looking at the Optimus robots. And I was curious just how the robots were going to learn, and then just thought about it for a minute and said, well, how would a robot learn how to clean your house or scramble eggs or play the guitar? Well, it would just watch an internet video. It's connected to the internet. It can learn to play piano just like we would, watching an internet video.
I disagree with about half of what he's saying about AI, but this is still fascinating to hear his point of view.
I agree with you on that, and you're right.
Regarding the implications of making private data technically available, Paul, the way Oracle's doing it, they're not putting the private data in the model. They're exposing that to the model through a context process, but it doesn't become part of the model's training set. So from a security perspective, they have it covered. But it's the question that customers are going to ask. So you have to make sure that they answer it effectively, because customers have to know about that, right? Because when you say private data, that they're thinking our data.
Exactly.
So what's going to happen with that data? And Oracle actually has really good answers to those questions, but they do need to articulate them in a very clear way. And I suspect we'll hear more of that in the data keynote. I can't remember when that is.
And what he did, he would take a couple of layers of skin off and then take that skin over to a microscope and look at it and see, is he taking any healthy cells yet? I mean, how deep does the cancer go? So he's back and forth, cut a little bit of tissue, look at it on a microscope, cut a little bit more tissue, look at it. Well, AI robots don't play fair. Their vision, the vision on the robot, it is microscopic. They can see they don't need a microscope to see individual cells. They don't need a microscope to see where the cancer ends and the healthy tissue begins. And their coordination, it is exactly, they're better surgeons than we are, not because they're smarter than we are, but because they have better hand-eye coordination.
Right.
Their eyes are way better than ours, and the precision of their hands is way better than ours, so they can cut between a layer of healthy cells and a layer of cancer cells. It's truly stunning to watch. And it will make us all, and it'll be very reassuring when we can go to a doctor who's using a robot to do the surgery. The surgery will be perfect.
Well, I know that they do brain tumors with surgical robots now.
I said this earlier, but it is so
not AI, but
it's built just like the brain. Specialized neural networks. One for vision. I mean, literally a convolution neural network.
There's no question that medical applications of AI are some of the best applications, and it's actually pretty disappointing how the big AI market has been pushed away from that in search of, the glorious riches. But there are some really cool stuff, and AlphaFold, for example, is a fantastic protein modeling development. And I think if Oracle really tackles some of these healthcare initiatives, it'll be big for them.
The VITs, the vision transformers.
I think that's what they're planning on doing, especially after that $30 billion acquisition of CRM.
Produce a bitmap image, bunch of pixels, if you will. And then the vision transformer then compares that to things that you already know and you can recognize faces and things that are familiar, and that's a transformer. That's a VIT neural network for a holistic understanding of the image and recording it. Version 3 of ChatGPT was the one that used the huge transformer networks that did comprehensive language and reasoning. The only drawback with that had facial recognition long before we had the ability to converse and reason using language with the GPT network. The generalized pre-trained transformer network, which is what is doing the language and the reasoning, but that requires enormous amounts of compute. Thus, the requirement for fortunes to train these models, these networks. The transformer network is much bigger and much more complex than some of the other networks. As you think, reasoning would be more complex than vision, and then there are networks for certain types of mathematics. Anyway, the looks a lot like the brain. So the brain has a lot of, it's amazing. 20-watt human brain, 20 watts. Anyone who's screwed in a 20-watt light bulb, no, that's not a lot of light, but it's enough to run 86 billion neurons and give you vision and balance and reasoning and language and creativity and the ability of deduction and inferencing. You can do all of that with this incredible what Elon calls a 20-watt meat, computer. Sensation, recognition, after recognition, the ability to reason on that. Again, the visual cortex is right behind the parietal lobe, behind and below it. The prefrontal lobe, as you can see on the left side, is a big language center. The brain is very specialized. So are the AI models. But we're not building a 20-watt meat computer.
Oh my God.
We're building a 1.2 billion watt AI brain.
500,000 NVIDIA.
Did you ever try to do multiplication as fast as an HP calculator? These electronic brains, these AI models, reason, and they reason very quickly. And they can deal with a lot of data. And they can get to answers that we've never gotten to. This is a picture of a data center we're in the process of building. Actually, it's up and running. Part of it is up and running. Eventually, it's going to have 500,000 NVIDIA GPUs in it. By the way, to give you an idea, 1.2 billion watts, what does that really mean? That's enough to power 1 million 4-bedroom homes in the United States.
1 million.
1 million. It's a pretty good size.
Unfortunately, at the moment, all those millions of homes, their electricity bills are going up as a result of these things. So
that's what I was just wondering
something
too.
that needs to get solved a little bit.
You kind of think that all these companies have to be working on the power consumption.
Well, they are. Unfortunately, some of the solutions are like nuclear power. They're, what you really want to do is try to reduce the overall infrastructure cost of this. So sometimes the best moves forward with AI are not building massive data centers, but figuring out how to do cool AI with less compute, which is what DeepSeek was working on that caused that market disruption. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that as well. Because at the moment, when someone who's trying to pay the bills every month, sees their electricity bill double, telling them that you're building a big brain in the desert isn't much comfort for them. So we got to balance those things, and I think Ellison cares about those issues. It's just that at the moment, he's trying to blow our minds.
Wasn't he testing a couple of years ago when he gave that other speech? He was talking about an underwater data center that was powered literally by, it was sort of underwater hydropower.
to delivering the largest and most
Yeah, in the
advanced
long
AI
term,
clusters
like
to support our
in the long
customers
term, there's a
all
lot
over
of
the
really
world.
cool stuff. It's just that we got to balance those things, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't hit a bunch of people with utility cost
Well, that's a
increases and
long
be like,
way
oh,
from
you know,
writing code in my
eventually
bedroom in college.
we'll figure out how to power this more cheaply. I think we got to like get everything lined up better.
What happened? I have no idea. Okay.
Nevertheless, that's an impressive facility. I'm not going to say
okay,
it's
so
not that.
We're
That's a serious
training.
facility.
We are in the middle. We trained the very first
500,000
for Elon.
NVIDIA
We're
GPUs is
training,
crazy.
Yeah.
a number of other of these multimodal AI models. Almost all of these AI models are.
I hope
in the
Larry got
Oracle
Jensen
cloud.
a ticket to
I'll
Def
come
Leppard,
back to
man.
that. But
Well, and they're pushing their
probably
announcement with
involved. We're
advancing
certainly
their
involved in
partnership
training
with
more
NVIDIA
multimodal AI
too at the
models than
same
any other
time.
company.
I mean, if you look
And
at
it's
what
very
open
exciting.
AI's been doing, they
And it's
pushed it
daunting.
first. They
I mean,
pushed
the
the NVIDIA, then they
size,
pushed the AMD.
of these
Yesterday they
projects
pushed
that we
the
were running
Broadcom. I mean,
it's not just building
it's just
the
amazing what's
Ecosystem
going
of
on.
GPUs, the
ecosystems.
computer
Yeah.
rooms, and the
Across the
networks
board.
and the cooling, and that
Smart.
was hard. By the way, that was hard in the first place.
But will a billion
Now we
watts, is
have
that the
to
same as
build
taking it
the
to
power
11?
transmission
That's
plants.
all I want to know.
There's a natural gas pipeline that goes to the gas turbines,
We'll have to have
that
Jeff
fires
work
up the
down.
gas turbines and then generate electricity. That electricity then has to be moved to the data center. So it's power generation, it's gas pipelines, power generation, power transmission, data centers, networks, and those data centers are filled with lots and lots and lots of complex software, and a lot of very smart, hardworking engineers.
I don't think there's enough
These are
trees in the
enormous
world to
engineering
provide the
projects,
carbon
each and every one of them.
offsets for some of this kind of stuff.
And what we're building, what we're trying to build are these multimodal neural networks trained on all types of data: textual data, images data, audio, video, every publicly available piece of data plus synthetic data. We train these models on. Some of the models are designed to be real time. Actually, Google has two
Just a
models.
quick note that
One,
synthetic data
is
has
Gemini,
not
one
been
is
too
DeepMind.
successful so
The
far,
DeepMind is
and
highly
we've
specialized
run out of
around
other
molecular
data to train them on in the
and
public
won
domain.
DeepMind
Just
won a
wanted
Nobel
to sort of
Prize
mention
last year.
slight reality checks.
Not this year, last
Yeah,
year. Won a Nobel Prize on
When he said it
protein
just
folding.
now, it
You
was unclear on
understand
how that benefits a model at all, really.
a molecule where you
I
understand
mean,
Depends.
it's
I mean, I
ultimately
think
another nice word for
that
fake.
protein, a chain
Yeah.
of amino acids.
I think
And
synthetic
what
data is a
what
work
does
in
it look
progress,
like
but I
in
think
3D when you
where
fold
Ellison
it
is
up,
nailing it
it's
is
no longer a
around the
string.
private data. And we can talk more about that. I don't want to talk over him too
That's a
much, but
problem
that's
we've been
the
working on for a
private
very long
industry
time, called
specific
folding
data
proteins.
is solving
And they
industry
solved
problems
it
is where
with
it gets
the
exciting for
DeepMind
all.
model that Google owns when they
Well,
when they bought
those
DeepMind.
are couched in
Elon has two AI
model
models
terms
that
as
are
narrow
very, very
language
different.
models.
One is
Right.
Grok, multimodal AI model. The other is Tesla, and it's a real-time model. And real-time models have some different characteristics than let's say an Anthropic, which generates code, or a ChatGPT, which is solving a legal problem or a medical problem, something like that. If you're driving cars, things happen very fast. So yes, you have to have vision, you have to have cameras all over those cars, but if something happens, you might be required to respond in a microsecond, in a millisecond at least. A microsecond's really fast. A millisecond in the car, a thousandth of a second. A ball suddenly is coming off a curb, and a bike is following the ball. And you have to see it, understand what's going on, and take evasive action so there's no accident and no one's injured. You have to build things differently when you can't afford the network traffic to go back across the network and talk to a computer, an AI model on a network that's far away. You need a very, very low latency response time. That's why all the Tesla cars, all the Tesla robots have to have local compute in the car, local compute in the robot to make an immediate decision, a very low latency decision. That's not required For example, if you're writing code, I can tell you what code to write, and you can take a moment to think about it and then give an answer. So the real-time models are a bit different than the models that don't require real time, where you have some time to reason and compute your answer. But both types of models are very important, and both types of models are being built. These models do multi-step reasoning. I know now what I'm calling reasoning not long ago was called inferencing. People would talk about, we got to train the model. There's one thing where we train the model, and then when we're using the model, when the model's reasoning, we reduce that to just inferencing, a type of reasoning. That's no longer true. In the early days, that's kind of what models did, was inferencing. Not anymore. They reason like we reasoned. And there's a list. They do deductions. They do inferencing. They do calculations. They have strategy. They have rules. All the techniques, the reasoning techniques that we use, they simulate and use. But they think a lot faster than we do and solve problems a lot faster than we do. Or they solve really complicated problems that we can't solve at all. And that's what makes this.
But they also have problems reasoning outside their
Thank
training.
you.
And a number of studies have established this. Sorry, Larry, but there's a lot of literature out there on that.
I was just going there.
Which is not to say that reasoning is not a powerful tool within these models. It is. Absolutely is. It's just there's a little bit of a context here.
We just tell the model what we want the program.
Oh, and it's really expensive too.
And then the AI comes up with a step-by-step process to actually do it. We don't write the procedure. We declare our intent, but the model writes the step-by-step procedure, that thing we commonly think of as a computer program. They diagnose medical images far better than we do. They design drugs that we can't. But there's a big gotcha. There's a big gotcha on these models, and that is the models do not get trained on your private data, because
here we go. Back to
for some reason, private people want to keep their private data private.
For some reason.
And that's not going to change. But people also want these models to reason
What's your
on their
bank account
data.
number, Larry?
You know,
Yeah.
have your cake, eat it too, whatever you
Doesn't
want to
seem to
call
matter.
it. I want to keep my data private. I don't want to share it with anybody else. However, I'd like to use this enormously powerful tool to reason on my private data. And that's what what's one of the big things Oracle's been applying itself to in terms of solving that particular problem. And we have this new thing where we're talking about this week here in Las Vegas is the Oracle AI data platform.
Was that already announcement made public?
AI data platform. And
the Oracle AI data platform.
I don't know for sure, but my understanding is this is considered part of the conference news.
Yeah.
I
didn't know if it had already gone out or not about this.
That's great.
I think it went out this morning, but I'm not 100%
on the Oracle
sure.
Cloud, you can use Grok. If you want to use ChatGPT, you can use ChatGPT. If you want to use Llama, you can use Llama. You want to use Gemini, you can use Gemini.
I mean, I'm just extremely impressed. This dude is 81, has like $350 billion, and he's at this level still.
Oh yeah, I won't be doing this when I'm 81. I can tell you that. I'm not sure what I'll be doing, but I won't be doing what he's doing. Quite impressive.
It is.
I couldn't do this at 35, so it doesn't, you know.
By the way, just to note, a big shift there. When Oracle really started, they were really working closely with Cohere, and Cohere is still a language model partner, but they've chosen to go very agnostic. And I think that's good for them and good for customers. And different models have different strengths, and then different models exceed other models in different areas. And so they put themselves in a position now where they can plug in different models or give customers access to the models they want.
Well, to your point, they've been generically agnostic on everything for a couple of years now, really. I mean, they figured out where they play in this thing, and to their credit, exactly right.
And we have
Right.
I
the
mean,
AI database and the
exactly
AI data
right.
platform that lets you add private data to the models. In fact, I'm going to be a little more precise this time. What it really does, and it's called RAG, by the
Brian,
way.
you're all muted out.
You basically take a bunch of data that the model has not been trained on. And by the way, that might be today's stock prices. I mean, the model doesn't know today's news.
He should
Not
be able
The
muted
model
now.
doesn't know, hasn't been trained on today's news. The model hasn't been trained on today's stock prices. Now, the model knows where to look for, it knows how to ask to look at today's stock prices. It knows how to look at the ticker and get the very latest quote on today's stock prices. And you just put that information in a database that the model can access. And you put your private data in an Oracle database. An Oracle database, the new Oracle database is called an AI database, not just because AI
Oh,
is
here's your
technical.
explanation on the
The
privacy
new
part.
Oracle database is called an AI database because it has this RAG capability. It has the ability to take any of the data in the Oracle database and make it accessible to the AI model by vectorizing it. So since a lot of your data is in an Oracle database already, you simply have to ask the Oracle database to put that data in a format the model will understand. And that's called a vector format. And the Oracle database will vectorize any data that you want to make available
It
to
can
the
also
model.
be in a knowledge graph
And then
format,
you can
not just a
reason on
vector
it.
format, but Oracle's on top of that also.
By the way, but it's not just data. It's not just data in an Oracle database that an Oracle database the Oracle AI database will vectorize. Let's say you have a lot of data in OCI Object Store, or Amazon Object Store for that matter. And you'd like to make that data available to the model, to the Oracle AI data platform. No problem. The Oracle database can go into OCI Object Store and vectorize and create what's called a vector index to data in OCI Object Store. It can go into Amazon Cloud Storage and vectorize portions of that that belong to you.
So I have a question, given that
for reasoning,
the questions he had on that last slide, which was like which three Oracle customers are likely to buy this product kind of question. How is that keeping data private?
A different database,
May not. I mean, I even remember when a lot of vendors had gathered up an enormous amount of data in whatever their respective field was. They exactly had all that compensation data. And they decide to monetize their data as a service. And uniformly, they all failed because customers freaked out, even though the data was anonymized deliberately, but they didn't care. They hated it because it was the customers hated it because they were using it, not because it was being made publicly available with their name attached to it. They just hated the fact they used it basically without permission, even though it was anonymous.
The difference here is data that's been anonymized can often be de-anonymized, whatever, later on. So you could recover and figure out driving data and everything else that was subject to this. What's different here is by using a vector deal, if you can't reverse engineer back to the source data. It's capturing characteristics about the information, but I don't know that if you've done right, there's no way anybody can rebuild it and figure out what the original source content is. They just know it's similar to another vector. That's all they know.
So a customer would have their own, in theory, their own private vector database. And it wouldn't be anonymized, but it would never go into the model itself. And I've talked with Oracle about this, and they handle this via containerized instances inside of OCI, and like the data doesn't go into the model. The model doesn't keep the data, doesn't train on the data, and Oracle doesn't even allow the log files to be collected, which is another way that the models sometimes collect data. So from a data standpoint, unless something goes wrong, which is, obviously you never know with stuff like that, but unless someone hacks in or something, you're not going to have that problem. Now, anonymized data can play a role in AI as well through foundation models, but Oracle's not doing that right now.
No, and I get that. I mean, my question more leans away from how to keep it private than customers being pissed off that it's being used for anything. So, for example, that question that he mentioned, that's what struck me. It's a targeting question. It basically is saying, okay, we're going to look at all this private data, and then we're going to figure out which one of you or which group of you are the ones we want to target for sale of this Oracle product.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, what you do with how you treat your customers' data is an ongoing subject that, like, it extends beyond the use of data in these models. It's customer trust is paramount in how you deliver on that. Like you said, if you get hyper-personalized offers and you're like, what are you using this data for? And it's probably somewhere in a 100-page service agreement, but that's not very comfortable. So, yeah, I think customers have a lot of questions about what you're asking. So there's no way to like say, oh, it's all fine. I would actually encourage customers to ask those questions. So
they're huge questions too, at least from my thinking.
Yeah.
So quickly and tell us.
I mean, he's sort of presenting it as if it's fine, right? Like it's just sort of routinely saying, well, at Oracle, we've figured out how to use private data.
Kind of amazing.
Well, he almost sounded like he was frustrated that he had to solve the problem in the first place. He was like, some people want to keep the data private. I don't know why. I mean,
that application, that AI agent, if I can just back this up one.
Okay, Larry, how come you're an hour late? Tell us.
My slide one. Okay, the last thing.
I don't think he's going to tell us that.
No, I don't either.
He didn't apologize or anything. He just went right into it.
I mean, it's really good what he's doing here, but it does raise a lot of questions.
To actually do that properly, you can generate the AI agent. Or if you wanted to do a little bit more, you could get even more precise. You could add more things to it with exactly what you want to do.
I wonder how he designs his keynotes because they're not the same every year. It's like,
this is much closer to 2 years ago than last year.
And by the way, that I don't know if you've heard this term. I mean, I thought it was a little strange the first time I heard it. Vibe coding, right? Sounds very Gen. What is the latest one? Z.
No, it's A actually.
Alpha.
Say what you want the program to do. Generate the prototype and try it out. Don't think about it too hard. Just to kind of get a feeling for it and feel the vibe, I guess. But that's actually, I mean, you can use English. You can generate computer programs directly from English. Personally, I've had
our new buddy Jerry is talking about this.
Whether using English as a program,
you can do that, but we're not there yet for that.
English is notoriously imprecise.
But it is great for rapid prototyping, as they note on the screen. I really like that because for the first time, a business user can kind of say, "Here's what I want," and then crank out some code.
Yeah.
Then they can bring it to their IT team and say, can you make this ready for production? And the IT person can say, what the hell? Why are you dumping this code? I mean, but still, it's like a conversation you can now have that you can never have before. So I think that part is really cool.
It bakes in some of the plumbing that they would never even think about or want to even think about on top of what they actually wanted to do.
Right. And
to me,
go ahead, Paul.
No, you go ahead. I'll come back.
That were generated.
Oh no, and Oracle can probably help with that by building in a lot of the protocols and features so that it's less work for the IT team to spruce it up for production.
I mean, I guess at a certain level, where I still retain a lot of questions is just if I'm looking at consumer grade AI, meaning someone pays for Gemini Pro or Claude or whatever, you can write a very effective prompt and it still just doesn't really quite get what the hell you're talking about. And it comes out with an answer that is clearly not what you asked, and then does what it always does, which is apologize profusely and give you the same answer, right? And so there's a little bit of an assumption of a more perfect world on AI here than is really the case. Because if you're not at that level, if you're not getting it right, this is a much more both quantitatively and qualitatively huge level. And so you're not getting it right. And it's not the fault of the consumer writing a bad prompt. It's the way the AI responds. And it's just, so.
Well, the good news is you can hone these enterprise systems to a much more narrower focus, and you can, like Larry's saying, part of the private data is you have these built-in private prompts saying, here's the data you should use, here's what you should call. So you're a lot less likely to get like a ridiculous mistake, though you occasionally will get some inaccuracies. But in my opinion, some of the vendors don't like when I say that. but Paul, I think where your point really kicks in hard though is now you're moving into a lot of really high stakes situations, right?
Exactly.
Because you're relying on this, for example, for some kind of medical processing or some kind of claims processing, things that have real impact on human lives.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways the stakes get very, very high here. So
well, think of it. The identification of a chromosome that could impact the cure of a disease, and then said, oh, sorry, that was the wrong one, right? I mean, it's not out of the question that would happen, more frequent. Let's say the chance that would happen is more likely than sort of being presented. There's a little bit of fait accompli here, and that I'm not comfortable with, but at the same time, I'm amazingly, I'm amazed at the level of development that Oracle's already accomplished with it.
Well, I think that's part of what laying all this out is in one way saying, yeah, you can do some of these things, but you might want to do it with somebody who's already way down the road with it, and with their track record, it's almost sort of like a little bit of a leap of faith in addition to all the stuff that we are laying out, because they're not going to be able to do any of this stuff on their own and feel comfortable about even doing it unless they have a technology vendor that not only provides the platform but can really even break it down in the way that he's doing it. But there's still a leap of faith because they're not going to be able to understand it at this level. It's not their core business.
I will tell you this, regardless of anything, if you take all the big enterprise vendors out there, the giants and the next level down and so on, this sets Oracle so far apart from every other one. It's just, this is a league of its own right here.
There's a lot of certifications that doctors and nurses.
We could talk about that more in the breakdown, but one thing I wanted to say now is that so much just comes down to use case design and how you frame it. So, for example, like I view it like these machines aren't better than us, but they think differently than us. And so I think Larry's gone a little bit back and forth on that. So, for example, like I would prefer if I had a team of doctors working on a procedure for me, and they want to say, we want to bring in an AI to take a different look at your tests and your results to get a different view. But we're going to examine that carefully. I'd be like, cool. But if they told me well, AI is going to take over for the human screener, I'd be like, no, but so I think a lot of it is how you frame it. And then you think about it in terms of extending it, right? Where not everyone has a team of doctors, right? And maybe in some cases this extends those capabilities to people who don't have access to that. And so then maybe you're starting to screen people who never got screened before. So there's a lot of ways to frame it that I think are appealing. Where you get into trouble with me is some of the framing I heard here where it's like, oh, it's going to replace this or it's going to do that. And it's like, well, hold on a sec here. Like, I'm not ready to say goodbye to my doctor.
Yeah, me
either. I kind of like my doctor.
Yeah, AI is a second opinion.
Yeah.
following Elon Musk's
Well, there was a
rule
major statement
that-
on that last slide at the bottom where he
if we
said
really want to be
that
successful in healthcare,
what Oracle
we
can
can't
automate
just
entire
automate hospitals and
ecosystems.
clinics. We have to
That
automate
is really,
the
to me, that's
entire
a core
ecosystem.
strategic statement for the whole
Like
company,
Elon had to
right there.
build a
Well, I think the
worldwide
key word
cell
though
phone
is
network,
can, and
or electric
being
cars
able
weren't
to,
going to work.
as a human,
You know,
still
you
have
couldn't
that
just
last say
make the
in some of the
cars
stuff that
and
goes on.
assume that Standard
again,
Oil
that's
would
the
provide
important
the
part.
fuel.
ServiceNow, platforms, if they can
Which
pull
is
it
what
off,
Ford, what
Oracle
Ford did.
ecosystem of ecosystems.
No,
He had never
to
said
build
it before.
electric
Well, I
cars,
don't.
he had to not only
That
design
must
an
be
electric
Buddy.
car
It's,
and
yeah,
manufacture batteries,
it is.
and
He's,
put
How you
robots
doing,
in the
Jerry? A
manufacturing
little late to it.
plant and figure out how to sell cars on the internet. He had to build a worldwide
I
network
am
of
just.
charging stations.
He just. It's.
He had to solve the entire. He had
This
to
guy's going through a
build
lot of stuff,
complete
breadth in
ecosystem for
depth,
electric
and he
cars.
looks like he's just chilling, having some
If
lemonade,
we want
just shooting his stuff.
to automate hospitals and clinics,
But it's such.
those hospitals and clinics are not going to be very efficient
It's just thoroughly
if
impressive
the
how
people who regulate
deep and
those
wide he can
hospitals
go
and
with this
clinics are
stuff.
not also automated. If people, if the patients who are making appointments or receiving the results of a blood test and all of it, if the patients are not also have access to that automation technology, you have to automate the patient, the provider, the payer, the
That is one hell of a
regulator, the pharma
marketing statement you
companies,
just made there,
banks who
Jerry.
finance the hospitals, and governments
Managed to get
who
in where you are, what you're demoing,
regulate
the
the
name of your
hospitals and
company,
collect
everything.
information from the hospitals. You have to
Well, not
automate
the
the
name of your
entire
company.
ecosystem. Then you will get
Now,
a truly
now we'll get a
modern,
comment with the name
efficient
of his
healthcare
I
system.
know.
And
You can
that's
put
what
it
we
in.
were after when we
We'll cut you some
bought
slack.
Cerner as a first step. Anyway, one of the most interesting AI agents we've ever built
This doesn't look like it's going to be only an hour long.
to payers.
Yeah, where's the special guest, man?
Because this is
We were
it's a very
speculating on-
interesting
I know.
problem, and
I
it took
think
me
I'm
a
going to
while
lose on that
really
one.
grasp this problem when
Man.
we were working on this, and that
He's
The
just out
fact that
there
he's
selling
mentioned,
best possible care.
fact that he's
What
mentioned
do
Elon 2 or
hospitals
3
do?
times
The
now
hospital
tells me
has to figure out what
Tesla
is the
and whatever
best
stock is going to
possible care I can
skyrocket
give this patient.
tomorrow. No pun intended.
skyrocket. Oh, God.
That's kind of true.
Pretty good, no pun intended.
But
Well, he did get
let's say you're in
Grok
the
in
UK
and
the best
XAI and
possible
Tesla,
care
so why not
said that you have high
SpaceX
blood
somehow
sugar
get
and
that
I've
in
got to
there?
put you on Ozempic or another GLP-1. Well, guess what?
Yeah, I guess the Apex
The
team is
NHS
going out
in
to
the UK
dinner
doesn't pay
tonight,
for
probably
Ozempic.
having a couple extra
They
drinks.
won't reimburse you for it, and it's very expensive.
That's a pretty good call out for y'all on the vibe coding side there.
So, are there any other drugs that
And he
will help
explained
you
it pretty
manage your
well
blood
too.
sugar
So
levels? Yes,
Yeah,
there
he
are.
did.
And are
Didn't
there-
somebody
are
mention
they
this
pretty good?
yesterday
Yes, the
in
drugs are
the
pretty
analyst
good.
event that
And will
everything
the
they
NHS reimburse you
buy
for
or
those?
do,
Yes,
they
will.
put it right into
So what you're
native
really
kind of
doing
code,
when you're
so as
automating
opposed
a
to what they're
hospital in the
built in for the
UK,
first thing.
what you're doing
Seems
is
like
you're trying to develop
everything's going to be on one kind of
work
code.
with the doctor to come up with the
platform.
best possible quality of care that is fully reimbursable if the patient can't afford to pay themselves. So those two things are tightly coupled together. So to build this agent, so it's pointless to prescribe Ozempic to someone in the UK who can't afford it. And because their insurance, there's
Years
the government is the
ago,
insurance company
Microsoft
in the
tried
UK,
something
and
without
the
AI
NHS doesn't
to
pay
do
for
this.
Ozempic.
They
It's
bought
too
a
bad.
couple of several
So this is what we had to build.
medical
We had
and
to build
medical
something that worked in the
services
United States
companies
and in
to
the
try to
UK and
integrate all of
over the
this.
world and solve this problem. The problem was the best possible care that's fully reimbursable.
I remember this.
That's what our goal was. So the AI model that we built first used RAG to access the latest medical literature and the latest test results in the EHR, vital signs, and all of that information, all your blood tests, to assist the doctor to come up with the optimal, the best possible care. And we had to know things like, well, there's a new clinical trial for this particular type of cancer that applies to this patient, that the doctor should consider putting this patient in that clinical trial. So the AI model not surprisingly, it will have all of the latest information about clinical trials, but which drugs are, which drug is working better than the other drugs for this particular patient the doctor is looking at. So we'll provide information to doctors. The AI model will provide information to doctors as the doctor tries to figure out the best possible care for the patient.
Yep.
Then
That's the
AI
framing we were
model is
talking
also
about
trained
before. That's
uses
that's
RAG
right
to
on.
access the latest rules and
Doesn't
policies.
it bug you
Now, in the
that
United States, those
the
would be
same
insurance
kind of
policies
logic
and
could
rules.
recommend that,
What insurance do you
nah,
have?
there's
Do
no
you have Medicare?
stuff
Do you have
that's really going to work
Medicare,
for you.
Medicaid?
You need
Do
to
you have
die.
supplementary insurance? What are all the different things
I
you
mean,
have? So I got to figure out what is covered. What do you get
or we
reimbursed?
need to send you to the
And
Soylent Green
it's really
factory,
the
something like that,
intersecting
Soylent
sets.
Green.
What's the best care?
Charlton Heston, where
What's
are you?
fully reimbursable?
Well, we know where
So
he
I can
is.
train the model
Yeah.
Well, it's a
on
real
all
problem
the
in the
insurance rules.
it's a real problem on the consumer
To
side,
just
right?
make
Because you
sure
got a
that
lot of
what
folks
the
using these
doctor is
models for
prescribing
freelance
is fully
advice and counseling
reimbursable.
and therapy and medical
And I've had to
stuff.
catch
And to your point,
little
Brian, there's
snags along the
no
way.
intermediary. It's
Well,
just the
actually,
model
I
saying,
will.
yeah, maybe
I
you're trying too
will
hard to fix
reimburse for
yourself. I
Ozempic
agree. You
in
should
the
just
UK.
go
but
take
the
a swim in the
body mass
river and
index is
see where
beyond
you
this
end up.
point. And I've got to make sure that the doctor knows that, and I can let the doctor know. Actually, this is a case is an exception. This patient is eligible for Ozempic because they're overweight to past a certain threshold, and the rule that was just changed says that they now can get Ozempic. I had to do that. So the AI agent then reasons with all of this data to propose the best care, the best possible care at the highest reimbursement level achievable. That's the goal of it. Where in most places in the world where the government is the payer of healthcare. And the one
I love hearing Larry Ellison talk about
that we
healthcare,
also
man.
did, and we have examples of this.
He really gets this
that we've
issue.
experienced.
Yep.
Where
Well, he's
a
82.
lot of clinics,
Yep.
a lot of hospitals
He
in the
gets it,
world,
man.
Yes, he
including in the
does.
United States, don't have lots of cash on hand. And if they haven't gotten the reinsurance,
And it's also talk about the
reimbursements on
realisms
time,
around this stuff. You're not
sometimes
just
they
Yep.
can't
No.
provide care to new patients. They're just running short of cash all the time. And what the AI agent can do here is,
Well, that's the thing. He understands
give
the friction,
the bank all of the information
not
about
just the
a
possibilities.
particular
Yeah.
collection of reimbursements, assuring the bank that those reimbursements will be adhere to all of the reimbursement rules, and the clinic and the hospital will in fact be reimbursed. 99% chance, 95% chance they'll be reimbursed. You can discount it a little bit, and the bank will then loan on those
Wow.
receivables. So it's a fascinating set of problems. When you look at the healthcare ecosystem, the financial aspects of the healthcare ecosystem, it's very expensive to run. There's a lot of administrative duties, administrative tasks that we can automate away using AI, and let patients spend more time with their doctors who are worried about care, and we can figure out how to get the highest achievable reimbursement, how to get the hospital the cash that they need to continue operating. But that's all done via automation, and the doctor's time and the nurse's time is spent much more efficiently with patients. As I say, AI will make things so much better for all of us.
I guess it gets down to how much are the humans going to trust the system?
Oracle Cloud is very unusual. Oracle's Oracle, in the simplest sense, Oracle does infrastructure and applications.
No.
We do scaled enterprise applications, and we do scaled AI infrastructure, and we're the only cloud that does that. The other big clouds, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google really do not do healthcare applications, enterprise applications, big financial applications. They don't do that. In other words, they develop AI technology. They may or may not develop AI technology. Google does. The other two don't. They may or may not develop AI technology.
Dear LinkedIn user,
they
the answer is
also-
no.
they're
He
not
hasn't been
building
talking
right.
about
large-scale
He- he
applications.
He addressed
where they're
vibe
trying to
coding, but he didn't
automate,
talk about developer tools.
industries or automate ecosystems using this technology. So our goals are different than those other clouds. We're a participant in creating AI technology, and we're also a participant in using that technology to solve problems in different ecosystems, in different industries. And we're obviously very large in training the AI models. And we have those models, a bunch of those models, some of which we trained, some of which we didn't. We have those models in our cloud for you to use to solve your problems. For you
That's a
to
very
do
good
AI
and
reasoning
easy to
on
understand
your
way to
private data
companies to look at it.
solve the problems you want to solve at your company.
We'll help you work on those
The,
problems. We'll provide you
and
the things specific to those problems, and you take it to the
we
last
have
mile.
AI code generators. Anthropic is the thing they're most famous for. Is Anthropic is code generation. We've been doing this for a long time. We think we have that our new Apex code generator is the one thing I can say about Apex. Every application it generates is scalable, secure, reliable. Every one. And we've been doing that for a long time. Now we're doing complete code generation using AI and Apex. We are the only ones that are building suites of applications to modernize not just industries but complete ecosystems.
Yep.
And healthcare is one example, but utilities is another. And we're taking on entire ecosystems, which makes things work much more efficiently. I mean, you're only as strong as the weakest link in the chain. If you have to interact with a regulator, let's say a regulator that does clinical trials, and the clinical trial regulator says, okay, once you finish your clinical trial, print out all the results and send it to us in boxes of paper. And I won't mention any names, but that happens all over the world. It makes new drugs incredibly expensive and take forever to come out. It's a huge problem. So you have to automate these entire ecosystems as a goal. And then agents, you have to build these complex processes, these robotic pieces of software called AI agents that not only automate processes within a company, but also automate processes between companies, how one company talks to another company, how a hospital talks to a bank. Okay. All right, that's phase one of my presentation. We'll be serving dinner.
Oh, excellent.
That's why I arrived a little late, because then this way we can go
little?
straight to dinner when we're done. Okay, so
So much for the next
this
keynote.
is a little.
Yeah, they might as well just go
Talk
home.
about throwing them under the
How
bus.
the AI models work, how they're
But let's
built,
face it,
how Oracle's different.
he's a captivating guy. Nobody really
yeah.
I'd like to
believes.
just take a look at the world as I think it's going to be because of AI. And I think by and large, we are going to
Here's vision,
live
Brian.
much better lives, healthier, longer lives, eat better food, live in better houses. It should be a much better world.
Own better
because
island.
These tools are
That's
so
right.
enormously powerful. But some of the things they'll do is a little bit shocking. All right. So these are some of the things we're working on. I can go through them on the line. We're working on biometric. We can prevent identity theft using AI. just stop it. So no more,
So stop
no
it.
more logging on, no more passwords.
That's right. We can
Yeah.
prevent it. So
No
just
more
quit
intrusions,
now.
No more data that gets stolen.
I hope Larry does realize
No
that
more
people
credit
use
card. No more you
agents
have to
to
send in your
hack
credit card
too.
and
So
get a
why
new
would they
one.
stop it? They would just have their agents keep
We
going.
can make
Right.
we can make them all credit proof if that's what you want, or for fraud proof if that's the kind of credit card you want.
I'd like a fraud-proof credit card.
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
of anyone who likes
Sign
spending
me up.
time in the hospital. If and the hospitals have figured out the sooner they can get you out of the hospital, the better it is for them also, because some of the nastiest bugs, some of the nastiest pathogens are lurking in the halls of
Yeah.
hospitals. And the
Yep.
quicker we can get you home, patients happier, and you're safer at home. So we can build these IoT medical devices where we can monitor you at home as well as we can monitor you in the hospital. And even if you're in an emergency, you're being transferred back and
That'd be
forth,
cool.
the ambulance is also always connected. So your home, if you had a patient at home,
I think
they're always
Zoho's
being
trying to
monitored
do
by
some of that
hospital
too.
staff. You've got a patient being
Yeah, they
transported
have those medical
in an
device.
ambulance.
That medical
The
device.
hospital
Yeah,
staff,
and they're all
there's a
they're all
audio,
connected
video,
IoT. I don't know how
digital
much
connection
AI is
between
built
the
in.
ambulance and the emergency room. Diagnostic images. When AI reads them, I remember one time I flipped my motorcycle upside down. Don't ask. What was I doing?
That was so Jewish.
And I wasn't that young either. I don't even have that as an excuse. Anyway, I broke a lot of. I landed on my right side and I broke 8 ribs. And an MRI.
Damn,
I remember
8
going
ribs.
into an MRI and they were counting 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you doing? I'm counting your broken ribs. Oh, great. But I was having an MRI, but the only thing they did was count my broken
He
ribs.
says don't ask, but there's not much chance of that at the
There's all
moment.
this other data that MRI
There's
produced
hardly
in the
anybody
whole
in there
thing.
to ask.
No, that is somebody who grew up
It's always
with,
the
like
case
I
when you
did,
get one of these
Jewish.
scans.
That
You
is,
look for, you're looking
you
for
hear that
one, two
at
things,
home
and
all the
rest of
time.
stuff you just ignore.
Yeah, I was outside. I
AI
tripped.
will
Don't
find it.
ask.
We'll find things that
Right?
no one was
That's
looking for.
that's so funny.
And plus, it's just more
I think
precise
Brian
and more
tripped.
accurate. I'm gonna go. If I
We
do
need to
this, I'll
send a
finish
health check
all
for
the
Brian
slides
there.
on this one page. So I'm
Send
gonna
AI down there.
do this. Identity theft.
Brian, Larry's sending an agent for you.
Excuse
Don't
me.
worry.
He's
we
back.
said earlier, early slides. I mean, AI knows who you are. That we recognize your face, your voice, your fingerprint. When you log in, you
decided to step back and do each slide.
Hi, Safra. What do you want to do today?
Safra hasn't been around.
There's no passwords are insane. Passwords get stolen. People write them down. The fact your password has to be 17 characters long with at least 2 underscores next to each other. I mean, what do you out of your mind? Who comes? You think this is a good idea? The only way I'll ever remember this is I write it down and put it on a sticky note right next to my computer. Why? This is just idiotic. So
Amen, brother.
Passwords. It's all biometric. Much better for everybody. Better data privacy. Credit cards. If you want them, we will have optional credit cards that are biometric. So no one can. It's very hard to imitate people. So this is dramatically reduced credit card fraud. The banks pay for all the credit card fraud. The banks don't have to pay that. Your interest rates are going to go down. It's going to be better for everybody. It's going to save a lot of money and keep your data private. Patient monitoring. I mentioned this. We're going to have these low cost, and I'm going to come to the how they're going to be so low cost. We're going to have these fabulous medical devices that we can mass produce, that are higher quality, but they're all medical devices should be attached to the internet, and they should go into a secure database where only you and it's your data, and you can decide who gets to see it. Your doctor, a health professional who's monitoring your care. And you keep it private, but that data is immediately accessible by your doc. And if your doc has set an alarm, if your blood pressure drops below a certain threshold or goes above a certain threshold, they want to be immediately notified. You can do all of that. You're going to get much better health monitoring, home, in the ambulance, wherever. And as I say, when moving between the emergency, between the your home and the emergency room, the ER doctors are talking to the EMTs in the ambulance. And believe it or not, we're building one. We're building building these prototypes. Will we mass produce an ambulance? I have no idea. If you told me a couple of years ago we'd be building power plant, billion-watt power plants, I would have said you need to get more rest. That's not going to happen. But yeah, no, we're looking at doing this because, and the thing is, the ambulance is connected and is loaded with AI, and it's just a much safer way to transport patients. The diagnostic imaging. My wife was pregnant. We were living in Hawaii at the time, and she went in for a sonogram, and the tech was. Two things were crazy. One is the tech took a ruler and was measuring fetal development with a ruler, measuring how big the skull was and how long the spinal cord was on the screen of the sonogram. And I said, whoa. That's like two-dimensional ruler measuring a three-dimensional shape inside floating in a fluid. Are you kidding? Who thinks this is a good idea? The computer should. AI, we can do that with AI. We can do this very accurately with the computer. Even with primitive AI, we should have been able to do that. It then got worse when the tech, we were on the island of Lanai, and the doc was actually in Honolulu, and she held up her iPhone to the sonogram screen so that the doc could see the image, the fetal image on the sonogram. Like, oh my God, what? Oh my God, no, I mean, you can't record this in high resolution and transmit it digitally. You're FaceTiming the image over, what the hell is it? No, and actually, I remember saying one thing. Look, I said to the tech, look, I promise to fix this. I promise to fix this. This is awful. I can't believe this is going on. But yeah, no, but of course, AI is 3D vision. We can measure accurately fetal development on the sonogram. We, again, find things doctors aren't looking for. Imaging right now, one of our partners looks at tumor biopsy slides and can diagnose the cancer from the image in a few minutes. We're going through the entire process. It might take them do all the genetic testing and all of these other things. Might take a week or two of worry and a week or two without treatment. And AI is going to allow us to get a response very quickly. Either say you're fine, you're clean, everything's good, or no, you need to start this drug right away. But in either case, when you get better, in both cases, we get better outcomes.
Right there.
This is very interesting. This is a device that we're working on, which is called a metagenomic testing device. Our ability to identify pathogens when someone gets sick. We have a testing methodology called PCR. That if we kind of suspect, well, you have influenza A or influenza B or this coronavirus or COVID-19, or we can test for some number of a panel of some number of known respiratory viruses. But if you have something that's odd, it comes up just as PCR negative. We don't know what it is. And we have to do, and what we really want to do is genomic testing on that. But before we can do genomic testing on it, we have to culture it. We have to culture it and wait several days, and it could take a week or 2 weeks before we know what you had. Either it went away or you did. It was particularly bad. This is a new sensor, a new sensor that will simply do gene sequencing. It will do gene sequencing of everything in the sample. So you take blood, and obviously in your blood are your own genes. Well, included in your own genes are something called ctDNA, circulating tumor DNA. So in everyone's blood, if you have cancer, even a stage 1, early stage 2 cancer, you have small fragments of circulating tumor DNA that we can discover by gene sequencing everything alive in your blood. The problem with the circulating tumor DNA, and people have been trying to work with it in the past, is your immune system will cure a lot of cancers without you ever knowing you have them. The immune system clears up a lot of cancers before you're ever symptomatic. And if we keep telling you, oh my God, we found this cancer, we need to start treating you. In fact, no, we don't. Your immune system is going to clean that up. Do absolutely nothing. So the false positives are deadly in this. However, with AI now, we can look at the fragments and distinguish between false positives and a real serious problem that you should start treating immediately, early. So this has the promise of giving us very, very early cancer diagnosis, which everyone knows leads to a much higher likelihood of a positive outcome with the cancer. It also will allow us to find any bacteria, any fungus, any virus, any living organism that you're infected with, any pathogen that you're infected with, and tell you exactly what that pathogen is, even if it's novel, like COVID-19 was novel. So we know how to treat it. Well, it'll tell you if that pathogen is resistant to certain antibiotics and specifically which antibiotics it's resistant to and which antibiotics we should treat you with. Now, we actually have a partner here, I think that went on earlier that talked about that working on that same exact problem, which is very, very important. If you imagine this device being a low-cost device that's in the pathology departments in hospitals all over the world, so we can do this one blood test and find whatever pathogen you're infected with. If we had that, we never would have been caught off guard with COVID-19. We would have had early warning. We would have discovered it far before we discovered it. Those metagenomic sequencers would be the perfect early warning system for pandemics. And that's why we're working on them, and that's why we need them. Okay. Building all of these medical devices, building them reliably. If you want to put this metagenomic sequencer in every hospital all over the world, or most of the hospitals all over the world, they can't cost $1 million. They can't cost $100,000. You have to make them cost effectively. You have to mass produce them. You have to make them in robot factories. If you make them in robot factories, you get much higher quality and dramatically lower costs. I think we have a video.
No sound?
No.
This is a disc, where the test, you actually put the sample into the disc, spin the disc, and run all of these tests on the disc. Actually, I think that video, when I saw it, lasted 3 minutes. And Maddie told me, no way am I putting that whole video in your presentation. But it is remarkable. There are no people in the room when the device and the disc is being built. Here's another one. This you'll be happy we don't have a video. We just have a couple of pictures. Growing inside reduces the amount of water that we use to grow food by 90%. That in itself is essential because we are running out of food, by the way. We're running out of food in the world. I think in 2050, Africa will be our most populous continent.
What?
Think about that.
Wow.
Asia has India, China. Those are big countries with a lot of people. Africa will be larger. We need to produce much more food than we currently do. We're going to run out of water. We're going to run out of arable land. We can't keep taking habitat and converting it to farmland. We have to be much more efficient, and by growing in greenhouses and moving plants around. Plants only need a lot of room for right before the few weeks before they're harvested. Otherwise, they're going to grow in much more confined areas. And if you can move the plants around, you use up much less water, much less space. You save habitat. If you're growing indoors, you can grow by urban centers. I mean, I don't suggest you put a greenhouse right in the middle of New York, but you can put it 50 miles away from New York. And you're growing near population centers, so the CO2 output for transporting the food to population centers is greatly reduced. The food is much fresher. Again, in a greenhouse, there's a harvest every morning, and it's delivered the grocery that afternoon, and is eaten it can be eaten that evening. So the food is much fresher. It's lower cost. It's more nutritious. It's tastier. And we're actually building these things, these robotic greenhouses. There should be a picture coming up. Yeah, that's real. Just hold that. This is also, as I pointed out to
That's
Elon,
a huge
this is also
greenhouse.
a Martian
Yeah, that is.
This building, which is very large, you can imagine as a greenhouse, or just ignore and that yellow thing kind of on the lower part is an overbot. That's a rail system that moves the plants around from one location to the other. No human beings are allowed in the growing area, because human beings contaminate the growing area. We literally lift the plants up and move them into a harvesting area where people are allowed. We don't allow any.
It's
but
really
also
cool.
the growing area is very, very high in CO2.
Nice, Larry. I would have put this early in the keynote, though, before the data center, actually.
It's very, very high in CO2, which is good for plants, not so good for human beings. But if you took that same building, and the building, by the way, there's no structure. It is an air pressure building. So the atmosphere, it's a positive air pressure. So basically think of fans keeping the pressure inside the building is higher than the pressure outside the building. And that's what holds up the roof.
So it's sucking the roof into place.
Is the most sunlight.
They need to put this on top of every billion-watt power plant they want to build for
quite strong.
their data centers.
You could take and those are steel cables. Those are steel cables in the arches.
Nice job.
Are anchored to a concrete footing around.
Where was this located?
So literally, you have a robot dig the footing.
I don't know that he
snap
said.
the steel cables onto the fiducials on the footing, and then you turn the fan on and you inflate the building. You fold the building up. The building is fabric with steel cables. You fold it up in nice packages, and you transport it to where you're building it, or you transport it to Mars on one of those big rockets, and then Elon can build his house right in the middle of that and have beautiful rose gardens and all of that other stuff. It'll be lovely. But I'm not going. I will go to this one, which is the first ones are in California and Texas, which is way closer than Mars. Here's another picture of the same building.
Wow,
they're big, and the green areas are the harvesting areas, and the walls lift up where the trucks arrive to deliver the food. Okay. This is going to be shocking. The first thing we did, and we've actually done this. It's actually a company that I'm involved with called Wild Bio. It's part of the Oxford I've got an institute at Oxford called EIT. It's the first time I've ever put my name on something, or the family name on something. EIT, and one of the companies we have is this company called Wild Bio. And what they did, the first thing they did was they modified wheat plant, which is a grass. They modified wheat to have it produce 20% more food per acre, more grain per acre, which seems like, we're running out of food. That seems like a good idea. Now, it's really interesting. If you produce 20% more grain per acre, what wheat does, basically, it takes CO2 and sunlight, mixes them together to create food. So if you're growing more grain, you're consuming more CO2. Now, where that CO2
And
ends
water.
up is really, if you have AI designing the wheat, is really up to us. So we build this wheat that's much more efficient with photosynthesis than conventional wheat. Once we've absorbed the CO2 into the wheat, we could choose to take that CO2 and convert it into calcium carbonate. By the way, that's exactly how coral reefs get built. A coral reef is converting CO2 and sunlight into a structure, into a mineral called calcium, an inert mineral called calcium carbonate. So we grow a lot of wheat around the world every spring. We plant, several Amazon rainforests worth of wheat.
Jeez.
And if you want to, you can not only produce more grain, you can convert more CO2 directly into calcium carbonate, therefore removing it from the atmosphere forever. So if you want to manage, I know there are all these interesting ideas on how to manage the climate and manage the atmosphere and manage atmospheric CO2. But in this particular case, you could remove, if you wanted to go from the current level of 440 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere, which some people think is too high, and reduce it to 400 parts per million, you can do that simply by having the wheat and the corn and the soybeans and whatever producing, converting CO2 into calcium carbonate, and you can manage the CO2 level in the atmosphere to whatever level you deem appropriate. And if you think the sweet spot is 400 parts per million, is right. Now, someone will say, no, we want to get rid of all the CO2 in the atmosphere.
No.
Well,
No.
pack a lunch, because if you get rid of all the CO2 in the atmosphere, all the plants will die on the planet. So don't go to zero. That's a really bad idea.
I'd rather go to Mars with Elon anyway. So
the sweet spot in terms of stabilizing the climate probably is going from 440 to 400, and it's something we can do, and it's basically free. Basically, there's no cost in doing it. And it's just a natural process called biomineralization. And we could use our food crops. We could actually increase the food yield while lowering CO2. This is what I mean by AI. AI is pretty amazing tool. There are a lot of things, a lot of problems we can tackle that we've been unable to solve for a very, very long time, and it's very, very contentious within our society. But
I do want to point out that the big AI players are not currently trying to tackle those problems, though.
Except him.
Well, right. I mean the big consumer
Right.
he's been referring to.
Agriculture,
But Larry,
is,
knock yourself out. Love it. Let's solve these problems.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, it looks like he's willing to own it and do what it takes to focus on it.
Are made of nitrogen and
I'm just sitting there thinking all the kind of stuff that people are really talking about when it comes to AI seems so insignificant when you hear this guy talk about what they're doing.
Well, so look, I mean,
Rather
a lot of it
than
has to, he's got a lot to
using
prove here, right?
fertilizer,
Like
nitrogen fertilizer
they
to
don't
nourish
have
the
results
plant.
to report back
The
that
atmosphere has got a huge
counter
amount of
the
nitrogen in it.
impact of expanding data
Why
centers,
don't you
for example.
simply
But what I like about this versus like Sam Altman
engineer the
saying we're going to
plant
cure
to take
cancer
the
is
nitrogen
Larry's
directly
going
out
into
of
the
the atmosphere? And we
specifics
know
of
how to
these
do that.
things.
Yep.
And
There's an
he has
enzyme
studied
in the
them
world
and
called
understands some of the
nitrogenase. And
nuances,
nitrogenase
whether it's
quite
the
literally
ecological and
takes
energy issues or the health issues.
atmospheric nitrogen.
That makes all the difference
Does it with
versus just
soybeans,
making
for example.
grand
Unique
statements
to
around
soybeans.
these things.
Takes
Yes, sir.
So
atmospheric
that's
nitrogen
where I'm
and-
hearing the
and
credibility
uses
that I
it,
really like on these issues.
as
It's
a
phenomenal.
nutrient,
Me too.
He still has
for
to
the
follow
for the
through
plants, and you don't have
and
to
make
use
things
nitrogen
happen
fertilizer. You can get
and
rid of
make
all the
this
nitrogen
real at
fertilizer.
scale. But
In
like
Africa, no one can afford.
you
You say
start by
nobody. A
understanding
lot of
the
farms can't
issues,
afford to use
and he's
nitrogen
clearly
fertilizer.
done that.
And I
And
think
even the ones
as
that
he's
can afford to
as
use
he's
nitrogen
sitting here, just
fertilizer,
it feels
is
like
a
he's
waste of
talking right
money,
off
and
the
it is
cuff. I know he
damaging to
isn't,
the
but
environment. So you can't
it
engineer
feels very
the
natural
plant
how
to
he's
get
expressing this.
nitrogen directly
It
from the
also kind
atmosphere.
of gives you
And the
a,
plant
a
is
more
just as
confidence
tasty
in
and just as
whatever
nutritious and just as
he's
healthy.
thinking or
And
talking
the
about
nitrogen from the
because
atmosphere
of the way he's illustrating this
the nitrogen
in
from
particular.
fertilizers that's been added to the soil. Another problem, AI makes it easy for us.
By
to
the way,
solve.
I just got an email that Larry's
In
keynote
fact,
that we're
you're gonna be very
watching is
happy
going to
that
be
last slide,
delayed.
this is last slide with words on it.
Oh, he's just getting
The,
started.
I
That's right.
Yeah,
I don't know if that
Okay,
was
one more
delivered
video,
by
one more
AI
picture,
though.
and then
I think our trip to the food
three of
court's
you
been
who are
delayed
mistaken
also.
about questions.
Dinner's
So,
on Larry tonight.
autonomous drones.
He said so.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do a keynote after his
Anyone who's looked, we've seen the way
because
drones have been
it's
developed in
it's going to seem
Ukraine
kind of
for
small in
military
comparison.
purposes. Fortunately, drones have very wonderful uses beyond how they're being used in Ukraine. The war in Europe.
I mean, now we're getting into the war in the Ukraine.
We built an air traffic control system for drones, and we're actually
I'm
using
assuming
drones
Juan
to
and
deliver
TK?
blood samples.
yeah, TK's
from
speech is
clinics,
tomorrow now.
and taking the blood sample by
Oh,
drone
isn't it supposed to be starting
to
like right
testing
about now?
laboratories. And we built what we call an
4:45,
RFID
if I
specimen
remember.
vault,
So he's got time
with an
yet.
RFID tag on, which identifies. So no one
4:30.
knows this is Larry Ellison's
4:30.
blood,
All right, so we've
or,
got
you know,
some
or,
time.
or whatever. They just know
I
there's
think
an
Oracle
there's-
Keynote
there's
World's
an
going to roll right
RFID
on here.
tag on the
Keynote
blood, and then the test results go into the cloud, and eventually they make it back to my doctor and to me, the results. But otherwise, and the chain of custody.
Does anybody have any idea like how many people are actually attending this year?
My personal
Nope.
privacy is not compromised at all by doing this, but also
Seems-
the other problem
Seems very
Enough to
crowded
make
in
walking the
office.
hallways
sometimes they do a great job of protecting your personal
irritating.
privacy by losing your blood sample, or thinking it was somebody else's blood sample. That's not a great way to protect our personal privacy. So we built this specimen. Another thing we built are these specimen vaults there that to take samples from the hospital, from the clinic, to the lab, where the results then go into the cloud. But the other thing the drones can do is they can detect forest fires immediately with infrared cameras. They can even figure out who set the forest fires. Tragically, the Palisades fire, a number of the fires in California were set by arsonists. I mean, unbelievable tragedies. But we can detect the fire immediately and start to fight the fire immediately. And if someone set the fire, we can figure that out too. And we shouldn't have police cars chasing other cars around. Those high-speed chases. Well, the videos look kind of cool. They are very dangerous for not just the police, but for civilians in cars nearby. We can have drones follow those cars. It's way better. Okay, I'm going to now go to my last picture. That's the RFID specimen vault over there. And last video will be coming up. There it is.
Oh God.
I wonder what company makes that.
I'm surprised he didn't make a cameo appearance here.
So you can deploy these.
I'm
It'd
kinda
be
glad
great
he didn't.
in the Palisades. It's the dry season. You send the drones up. You can have a series of these cars. You've got a lost hiker, out in the wilderness, something like that. They're portable. I think it's going to now land, and then if it gets down safely, I will take my first question.
He's taking questions, really. Okay.
It's a video. It's going to get down safely.
There's people in that. I don't know how many, but
Yeah.
there's people there.
I'm guessing, to your point, it's a limited audience. Oh no, that was it. They ended. Did they end it, or are they gonna? What?
That's kind of a weird ending. That didn't feel like it was supposed to end like that. Wow.
I wanted to hear the questions, man.
So he was talking to. I wonder if that was pre-recorded.
Then why would they have to delay it?
Didn't seem
pre-record it.
pre-recorded.
For some reason, I didn't think it was, but that sort of made it look like it was pre-recorded. Regardless,
It might have been, but that's kind of weird. Anyway, our first impressions from that? It was about an hour and a half.
yeah. Well, we've been live for almost 2 hours, so
Yeah, right.
Go
ahead.
It was stunning, really. I mean, we all, I think, probably have some, let's say, concerns and disagreements with his earliest conversation around AI, but it's hard to argue what they're actually doing. I actually think that Oracle is setting itself apart from any other company. Look, I don't want to necessarily speak for anything outside the world of enterprise tech at the moment, but I potentially could here. But they're setting themselves apart from any company in the entire industry. There's not even a close thing going on here. It's not like there's anything competitive. He's literally working on solving, with Oracle technology and AI and so on, some of the world's largest technology some of the world's largest social problems, and actually doing it with things they're not speculative. He's doing them, and they're building infrastructure that will do them, and they're partnering with the companies they need to partner with to do them. And again, I'll go back to my continuous refrain of ecosystem of ecosystems, because that is pretty much what I'm seeing here. And I don't know a company better situated. And Larry, the other thing that I have to say that I've been impressed with, and this actually started a few years ago, back in the earlier days when he was a very visionary guy, around the network computing and all that. And then there came a period where I thought, it's not, he's kind of not vision. He's become a genuine, like, global visionary person here. I mean, he may never have lost that, but I didn't see it. Okay, now I don't want to say I'm in awe. I'm not quite there, but I'm close to in awe of how much they've actually done, as opposed to how much they're talking about. And of course, his grasp and depth of that concern.
Brohammer, were you typing away? Taking notes?
I was taking notes on Paul's comments because I wanted to be ready for mine.
Are there any hairs on the back of your neck?
Yeah. Look, I think I profoundly disagreed with some of things Larry said. Some of that I articulated, some of I didn't. But look, I mean, this is one of the must-hear keynotes that I've attended in a long time. We discussed that. I think Larry delivered that today, something where you didn't know what was coming next. Trying to grapple with real-world problems. I do think I will judge Oracle also on how they progress on those things. But like I said, a very meaty keynote. I thought some of the AI stuff was hyperbolic, but the highlights were the healthcare and the energy stuff, and also really hammering home this issue of private data and getting into some of the details on how that works. I know Paul had some lingering questions about all of that, but I think Larry took a good crack at the differentiation around that, because that's actually a bigger deal than reasoning. Reasoning is just a technique that sometimes helps and sometimes hurts and can be expensive and blah, blah, blah. But the issue that Larry's getting at is one, it's called context intelligence. But the idea is that a large language model can deliver much better to your needs if you provide it with the right context for your situation. And that's what Oracle is trying to provide at a different level than other vendors, because of all the infrastructure that they control around the AI processes themselves. Instead of just building applications, they're doing the whole friggin' stack. If they can pull that off, like, that's big. And so Larry kind of set the tone for all of those audacious things. And now we have to find out what resonates with customers. But for me, a keynote weary guy like myself, I'll sit around for something like this and I'll listen. And who cares if I didn't agree with it all? At least it provoked the right conversation. And that's so rare.
Yeah. One thing to just add to what you said is the context intelligence. Look, when AI, I know even at the consumer level of AI, it actually does that. I actually fed it private data. I fed Claude private data of mine, right? Including my blood work and other things to help me design a program to lose weight, to mental health, a full program. I even told it I had a sweet tooth. I mean, I literally went through a whole, and Claude, and I did 5 AIs. Claude just happened to have the most intelligent one response, but it literally came back with things taking into account. I have slightly high cholesterol. Taking into account, they had a section entitled Sweet Tooth Management. That is highly particular to what I did, right? It took into account the tools I use. It took into account every single thing that I gave it. And I'd say 70% of what I gave it is private data. Right.
But the difference is you took potentially some IP risks by doing that.
Right.
And that's not acceptable to corporate environments. And in a corporate setting, you have to have all of that designated according to security and role and all of that. You can't just wing it with corporate data. If you're willing to do that on your consumer side, you can take the risks. And of course, you can investigate the terms of service and try to figure out, okay, are you training with my data? Maybe turn that off in the settings. The point is Oracle gets that down to a science for its customers. They're not the only vendor that's doing that. Okay. This is context engineering is an established discipline across most enterprise software vendors right now, but it's just it's just much more risk aware than what we might try with the consumer tool.
Okay.
Mr. Cowboy.
I got a few points. In no particular order. I did think it was probably one of the meatiest and toothiest talks I've heard all year. And more importantly, what's really fascinating to me is how much of this is a first-person narrative that he's talking about.
Yeah.
His experience with his health stuff and what he personally saw and the robots that he saw and asked questions about. It's not that he's taking you on this journey with him as much as he did the work, which is more than I can say for most CEOs who somebody fed them talking points and they come out on stage and, pound them and, to death in front of us. So whether you agree with everything he said or not is almost immaterial because he did the work. And I think that's something I wish more top executives of software companies would do. I would say this does set Oracle apart from competitors, because if there's one thing that just jumped out, I know I've been harping on this point for better part of a year and a half, 2 years, is the best CEOs, and I know he's not that anymore. He's the CTO and chairman of the board, but the best ones are the ones who can craft a compelling vision for the future. And I'm sorry, 99% of the CEOs out there can't see past the next quarter's AI, functional enhancements they're putting in, sprinkling a little bit, around the product line. He was thinking big problems to solve, not little tiny baby problems. So, I would hold it up I don't want to use the word master class, but damn it, I'd say we ought to make more software companies watch a replay of this so they know what they need to be prepared to talk about and inspire people in their audiences. And if you have to resort to having showgirls and marching bands and flashpots because you lack vision, trust me, we see that as analysts and we will call you on it. So
Go
you
get
did a
him.
good job.
Go get him, Cowboy. You got him this time. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes. I mean, I don't have much to say in disagreement with what you guys said. I was just sitting here thinking that the only keynote this year that I can kind of equate to what this was Jensen's keynote earlier this year, where everybody has been talking about the agentic, and he didn't really spend a whole lot of time on that stuff. He was looking at these bigger kind of things as well, with the physical AI as opposed to the agentic stuff, and thinking about those in kind of in the real world, not the digital world realm. And although Jensen has his own style and flair, and Larry definitely had this more relaxed approach, I couldn't help but think about, wow, I mean, Larry's kind of doing the enterprise version of the big picture, like Jensen did, in his conversation. And I agree with you guys. I'm sure there's certain things you could nitpick if you really wanted to, but the big picture to me is this guy just sat there in that chair for an hour and a half, and without a hiccup, note except for the slide thing, he went through some serious stuff at length and at detail, and had the full grasp of it. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was the second richest man in the world and I had my own island, I'd be sitting there not even thinking about this stuff. And he is not only thinking about it, but you could tell he spends a lot of deep focus on these things and connecting the dots, and then the big challenges, and then how the AI can and potentially will impact it. And just by doing that kind of thing, I think he sets himself and Oracle apart from the other things that we just repetitively hear all year long about agentic AI and what it will do. It almost makes all that stuff really feel smaller and much more insignificant when you hear how he approached it, and then you look at how Oracle is kind of tackling it. Yeah, I would say it was a master class. I would say that, yeah, there are things that'll need to be followed up on, but I haven't seen anything like this for the enterprise world in a long time. And so, yeah, I don't know what exactly happened today over in San Francisco. So I can't speak on any of that, but
yeah, I guarantee it wasn't this, no matter what.
This was really something.
I'll say one last thing to that. Look, being a 75-year-old male and he's an 82-year-old male, there comes a point in life where legacy does actually matter. And I don't care who you are or what you've done either. You redefine it. And it's not, you might be well acquainted with your own achievements and things like that, but that's not what you're defining. Mm-hmm. You're defining what you're leaving, right? And it's clearly, and I'd say it started at least when he bought Cerner, actually, it was probably, it's sometime right before that, I'm guessing. He's the only person that could do that, right? But he, I don't know if it was an epiphany, I don't know if it was lengthy over time with thought, whatever, however he got to that point, but he's at that point. And that goes to, Brian, what you said confirms it too. This is we're seeing his vision, his view, and his journey. And it's not just that he did the work. He's literally figuring out his legacy with this. And I totally get it. And I have been so impressed with the way he's been doing this. And again, for me, it started in terms of identifying it from him. It started with that 2 years ago. And when he acquired Cerner, even then, I wondered why he did that, right? And then I started realizing he was probably, 78 then?
I think it might have started earlier, because I think it started when he decided not to be the CEO. And he is like, all right, I've got great people that I can hand over all that operational stuff to. And I think when he went to going back to being the chief technology officer in addition to the chair, I think it almost sort of sounds like what Schroeder Vimbu was doing with Zoho. You got such a great executive team that you can feel comfortable about turning over all that operational stuff, and that allows the big brain, the folks that really they have this capacity to do all this, to do all that in the context, and then bring it back to the company. But I think, yeah, the Cerner thing was a huge part of it, but I think it probably started a little bit before that with that co-CEO.
Legacy starts, it's kind of starts when it starts with you, whenever it is. But you tend to be older, but it starts. And with him, I think, the one thing about legacy, they're personal decisions. And this is not a business thing for Larry. He's deeply personal for him. And clearly so.
So I totally agree. And I'll just add one quick thing, which is I think it's the combination of legacy, but also sensing a profound time in sort of human culture and in business both, and wanting to help your company see that through, but also make a difference in that. And Brent, to your point around Sridhar and Larry, same thing happened with Workday with Anil Busri, another significant enterprise software figure, all realizing like to take this on in the way that I need to do it, I can't be the executive leading the charge. Like, and I think it just shows you, and I'm not as optimistic about AI in a global sense as Larry perhaps, but I would still agree that it's profound and it's important. And so I really like that these executives, a handful of them, are really embracing that in a legacy mindset, like you said, Paul.
As an aside, I remember many years ago when Dave Duffield called Anil the most eligible bachelor at PeopleSoft on stage. I went up to Anil afterwards and I said, "Have I got a girl for you?"
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if give me that service, right?
No, it was just like, it was just so funny. Just like the most eligible bachelor at PeopleSoft.
Listening to you guys describe the CEO role is making me think maybe it needs to be permanently different in high tech. Larry is not Larry's at his best when he's out there playing in traffic, not necessarily with real customers, but seeing like the problems in the hospitals and, seeing this stuff firsthand. He's a get out there and feel it, touch it, and embrace whatever the pain and the issues are and internalize that. And then he can figure out where to take the technology beyond that. That's not what you generally have a CEO do. And CEOs are spending all kinds of time with the board, with Wall Street, and a whole bunch of other things that I'm sure Larry would be happy if he never had to deal with that kind of stuff ever again. It's why he had killer people like Safra and Chuck Phillips. They dealt with a lot of those kind of issues. Then you had Mark Hurd, who dealt with a lot of the sales and revenue kind of stuff. And we could go down the list. They've had other executives handle some of these things that might be CEO responsibilities. But the best thing you could do is every one of these tech companies needs somebody like Larry, but I'm not sure they have to be the CEO.
Right.
But you got to give them enough, turn them loose in the front 40 and let them run. That's what you got to do.
Amen.
All right,
sorry, I went with a Western analogy.
No, I got
You're
it.
the cowboy, man.
It was a good one.
Okay.
Can I just add, now you have to turn us loose, though. We've been sitting here for a long time. Man.
It's time for bathroom breaks and all sorts of stuff.
It's diminishing returns here, folks, on the live show.
All right, so I think we need to get out of here. I think we might be doing one more tomorrow. I'll put it up when I know exactly. Let's hope
we got to do Miranda, man.
We're definitely.
Because Miranda wants to see. He wants to grab some popcorn later and watch.
Yeah, well, don't worry.
Yeah, because he'll never talk to us directly.
That's right. We Brent and I have. You saw we've been pleading with him publicly to be on CRM Playaz, and he won't do it. So
So we're gonna rip them tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's
rip
going to be very interesting.
But he did promise to watch it though, because I talked with him about it on Friday, and he said he wants to see us go at it over his keynote. So
Oh, okay, no problem.
So we got to do that. That's at 11:15 tomorrow, by the way, for those out there that are curious.
All right, well, be on the lookout for the promo for that. We're definitely gonna oblige him, and we're looking forward to that. But on behalf of the Cowboy, the Brohammer, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and we're all played out for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.